Welcome to this course, Introduction to the Kotlin Programming Language. This is a presentation of Coding Bootcamps. My name is Jim Sullivan. I am your instructor. This is session 1, so we'll present the Kotlin overview, installation, and setup. Our prerequisite is a basic knowledge of programming and a basic knowledge of Java. We'll actually see examples of how Kotlin is closely related and interoperable with Java. Our Kotlin overview and installation, we'll talk about why Kotlin, what are the advantages, and the install and setup from the Kotlin command line, and install and set up Kotlin through an IDE or integrated development environment. A little bit about the 10 highlights of Kotlin. First off, Kotlin is statically typed. So Kotlin is very concise. It provides a rich set of idioms or shortcuts to perform common tasks. So when we create Java objects, plain old Java objects, quite often we have to create a class. It's a lot of syntax. We have to encapsulate the data. We have to add methods for setting properties. We have to add methods for getting properties. We have to add methods for converting to strings. Kotlin has the reputation for just being shorter, the same type of application with less syntax. And Kotlin provides this very concise syntax, which allows us to be able to value our properties and to convert to strings and to return our strings. So much less syntax with Kotlin. And Kotlin is safe and secure. So every variable in Kotlin is non-null by default. So we can see here, we declare this string, we can see the str is of type string. We see the string here, hello world. It is non-null, so it can't hold a non-null value. If we set str equal to null, we'll get a compile error. However, though, to allow a variable to hold a null value, we must explicitly declare it as nullable. So we can see it here. So this can be null. Since Kotlin knows which variables are nullable and which are not, it can detect and just disallow unsafe calls at compiler time that would otherwise result in a null pointer exception, which actually can save developers a lot of headaches. And we can see here, here's again a nullable string length. So if this would return a compile error, because if it's a null string, it's not going to have any length. And Kotlin is also explicit. So Kotlin does not allow implicit type conversions like Java does. So I'm sure many of us are aware of classes and objects in Java where you are passing in the math class, or the math object is a good example. Quite often you will pass an integer, and your integer will get converted to a long or a double right in the math function. So in that way, you have you don't have to worry about doing type conversions with Java. However, with Kotlin, if you want to do a type conversion, you have to call methods like toLong or toDouble, so you have to explicitly run the type conversions. And also, classes in Kotlin are all final by default. You need to mark a class as open to allow other classes to inherit from it. Similar, all the properties and member functions are also final. So you need to mark a function, or the equivalent is a method in Java, a property, as open to allow child classes to override it. So a subclass can inherit and override a method, but you have to explicitly mark it as open. Kotlin is considered to be easy to learn, particularly if you know Java. You can easily pick it up. It is functional as far as writing methods, and it supports object-oriented capabilities. completely interoperable with Java. There is excellent tooling for it, so lots of development environments, including IntelliJ, Eclipse, and many others. You can build applications for the server side, for Android, a browser, and a desktop, and Kotlin is free and open source. You can set up and run Kotlin programs in several ways. You can either install Kotlin's compiler and run Kotlin programs directly from the command line, console level applications, or you can install and set up Kotlin through an IDE like IntelliJ or Eclipse. Currently, IntelliJ probably has the biggest market share for Kotlin. However, Eclipse is a great alternative, and there are also many others that have rich sets of tools for Kotlin. So to set up and install Kotlin from the command line or from your integrated development environment, please go back to your course materials and read the course materials and follow the step-by-step instructions to install and set up Kotlin, either through the command line or the IDE, integrated development environment. We are going to do all of our examples out of IntelliJ. And again, IntelliJ gives you a great environment for Kotlin development. So let's take a look at an example. This is IntelliJ, and we have created a Kotlin project, and it's very similar to a Java project. We have the concept of a package, so you can see the package here in our application, our Kotlin application. Methods are called functions in Kotlin, and you can see here how it's similar. We have the main method, and we are passing a string of arguments. And here we also have the print line. So here we are going to, you can see the package right here and see the Kotlin file. This again is IntelliJ, and we are just going to go ahead and click on run, and we're going to run this application. And it runs a build, and here's the output down here. And as you can see, it actually called a Java development kit. So how interesting is that? Over the next few sessions, we're going to switch to hands-on training instead of lectures. So we will be going over our labs. One thing about programming, you really can't sit through a lot of slides and learn it. You've got to do it. So we will be going into our IntelliJ and actually writing some basic applications. And your course materials cover in detail all of the topics that are discussed in the course and the remaining sections. And you'll also have the source code for all of the applications that are demonstrated and all of the examples that we go over. So our next session, we'll be writing our first Kotlin program. So stay tuned for that. Before we get there, your learning materials have information for private coaching sessions. So private tutoring sessions for software design and engineering. There are weekly and monthly plans, and there's also private tutoring available for the Kotlin programming language. Some follow-up courses. Learn blockchain development with Quarta R3. So Kotlin is used a lot with Quarta for writing Quarta contracts, and also Java programming at the basic level or the intermediate level. So thanks again for watching this session, and stay tuned for the next session.